Hey y'all, I'm so excited to tell y'all this story today. It's from Tennessee, and I ain't even from Tennessee. I'm from North Carolina, but I love this story. It's about the most famous and most wanted moonshiner in Tennessee history. It's from the 1800s, and it's a woman. Her name was Mahala Mullins, and first of all, how beautiful is the name Mahala? I wish that was my name. But Mahala was a Melungeon, and if you don't know what that is, I don't know if I'm qualified to speak on it. There's lots of videos out there explaining what it is. I can touch on it. They're a multi-ethnic group of people, and they lived in isolated communities in the Appalachians. They usually have dark features but light-colored eyes, and they have a bump on the back of their neck. And absolutely beautiful people, just beautiful. Think Elvis Presley and Heather Locklear. Those are two famous Melungeons off the top of my head. But anyway, they lived in isolated communities, and Mahala, she was born Mahala Collins, and Collins is a very well-known Melungeon surname. Her family lived in an isolated community in Sneedville, Tennessee, up on a mountaintop called Newman's Ridge. It was 3 miles, a steep 3 miles, and it was really inaccessible. You couldn't take a wagon or anything up there. You just had to walk. But she was famous for her moonshine. Mahala went by the nickname Big Haley because she was a heavy-set girl. She'd been heavy-set all her life, and it's said that when she passed away, she weighed between 400 and 500 pounds. She married a little skinny man named John Mullins, and his nickname was Skinny. They went on to have 20 children. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now, Mahala was a dandy moonshiner. People came from all over. They made the trek up that mountain just to get some of her shine. And one of her most well-known products was apple brandy, and it was made using apples that grew basically just exclusively on top of that mountain. It was supposed to be a real smooth drink. But people came from all over to get her shine, and if they didn't get a jug, you could also, there was a community basin, and you could dip a ladle down in it and take you a swig. And her son stood around and made sure people stayed honest and paid for that little swallow. Unfortunately, her husband and a few of her sons passed away, but she was able to keep the family going by this moonshine business. Her sons were able to carry it on even when she got past going, because she got health problems from her size. She ended up getting lymphedema, which is a very painful thing, and it basically makes you immobile. But the law did not like what was going on. They wanted their hands in this, of course. And so every once in a while, the law would make that trek up the mountain to come arrest Mahala. But they couldn't get her out the door. She was too big. And even if they could have got her out of the house somehow, they couldn't safely get her down the mountain. So they couldn't do anything with her. They'd serve her these citations, they'd bust up the steel, but they couldn't take her in. And she'd say, "Catch me if you can." And at one point, the judge down in town wanted to know why the notorious B.I.G., Big Haley, had not been apprehended. And the sheriff said, one of the most famous lines, if you ask me, in American history. He said, "She's catchable, but not fetchable." So she was the catchable, but not fetchable Mahala Mullins. And even though she had took to her bed, she still had a thing of whiskey sitting by her, so people could come inside and she could sell it directly to them. So she's selling liquor by the drink even back then. She lived to be in her mid to late 70s. She passed away in the 1890s, and they made her bed, her coffin, they just kindly boarded it up, and they had to remove a wall out of the cabin they lived in to get her out. And they buried her out there with her husband and her sons. And even to this day, that cabin still exists. They moved it a few years back off the mountain, down the valley, to Vardy. I think it's called Vardy Valley. I can't look it up because my Wi-Fi's out because we've had a tropical storm up here in the mountains. And So if I'm wrong about that, please correct me. If I'm wrong about any of this, feel free to let me know. But you can go visit this cabin in Vardy, and you can see Newman's Ridge right there in the background. It's still inaccessible, but you can look out in the distance and see the ridge where all this went down. And the cabin is furnished, but I don't think it's any of her original furnishments. It's just some timepieces that people have put in there. But people go visit it and they make music on the porch and whatnot. I just love this story. It gets me riled up. I'm not sure why. I think it's because, first of all, she's a woman. She's Melungeon, and they weren't treated right back then. And she was a widower. And despite her challenges, she was able to keep her family going, keep them alive. And people did what they had to back then. I've said many times my great-grandparents were moonshiners and bootleggers. You just did what you had to survive. But I love the story of the catchable but not fetchable Mahala Mullins. The end.